Thank you so much, sweetheart. And before I get started, Brooke mentioned that I had worked as foreign policy assistant to former President Richard Nixon. And a gentleman at my table looked at me and he said, "You're not old enough." And the truth is, I am not old enough, and I really have to make that point. I actually served with President Nixon during the last 4 years of his life, from 1990 until his death in '94. So I wasn't even born when he was elected president. So I just want to make that really clear. In fact, one time several years ago, I was giving a speech like this, and I was introduced that way, that I had served as foreign policy assistant to former President Nixon. And I saw a woman in the front row, and she's looking at me, and she's squinting. Finally, at the end of the speech, I came back down the steps, and she embraced me, and she said, "That was a fantastic speech." And I said, "Thank you so much." She said, "But I need to ask you something." And I said, "Of course, anything. What is it?" And she looked at me, and she goes, "Girl, who is your plastic surgeon?" And I said, "No, you misunderstood when I worked for President Nixon." So I wanted to make that so clear. Thank you, Brooke. I need to take Brooke with me everywhere I go after that introduction. She is such a dear friend of mine. She is brilliant. She is beautiful. She is a champion of everything we hold dear. I am honored to call her friend. And actually, Brooke Goldstein is the reason I am here tonight, because she put me together with this group. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, Brooke, and thank you for everything you do on the side of freedom and for Israel. God bless you. Thank you. I also want to thank Rabbi Vigler so much for inviting me to take part in this very special evening tonight. Thank you. Without you, none of us would be here. So another round of applause for the rabbi. And I have to give another big shout out to Chaya Groner, who's right here, and the Chabad Israel Center, for helping me to literally get here tonight, logistically and everything else. You've been a big help, so thank you so much. It is my great honor, and I speak from the heart when I speak of Israel and Israel's soldiers. Everything I will say here tonight comes from here. We all know rationally from our minds that Israel needs to be supported. But when I speak of Israel and the Jewish people, I speak from here. I am so honored and I am so privileged to stand before you tonight. And I am truly humbled to be in the presence of so many true heroes. You know, in this culture, and in the Western culture at large, we tend to make individuals into heroes who don't necessarily deserve to be. In fact, I came here tonight from the Fox News Channel, where we were covering Tom Brady and the fact that the NFL suspended him for 4 games. A lot of Giants and Jets fans in the room probably tonight, right? And so I was on Fox Business and Fox News, forced to cover this. And I was sitting on the set and I was thinking, a lot of people, in fact, many people in America idolize Tom Brady, or they idolize their own teams and their own quarterbacks, or singers, actors, actresses. Those are not the real heroes of our lives. The real heroes of our lives are sitting with us here tonight. This evening is one of recognition. In fact, it's called the Belev Echad, Evening of Recognition. So what and whom are we here to recognize? Our beloved soldiers of the Israeli Defense Forces and their incredible sacrifices in defense of the Jewish state, the only true homeland of the Jewish people, which has always been under assault, and now it is so more than ever. In fact, everywhere you look in the world, you see darkness descending, and I include here in the United States in so many ways. But there were actually two events over the last couple of weeks that gave me hope, because it showed me little beams of light are still possible in this increasingly dark world. The first beam of light was the Israeli election a couple of weeks ago. It gave me real hope. And the second beam of light was the British election of just a couple of days ago. And I will say, as a political conservative in America, I hope the third beam of light comes in 2016. I am a Christian. I am also a Zionist. And I support the state of Israel wherever and whenever I can. I am totally unafraid to do so. And I have to say, this might sound a little corny, but every time I go out on the national airwaves on Fox News or national radio or in print and national newspapers, every time I go out and defend Israel, speak the truth about Islam, speak the truth about Israel and its enemies, I feel the power of God with me. And as we all know, if God is with you, who can be against you, right? I do it every chance I get. Support Israel, support her soldiers. I am also so honored to MC the National Gala for the Friends of the IDF, the national fundraiser we do at the Waldorf Astoria every single year. I've been doing it for about 12 years now. And I know some of you come to that event as well, and it is truly a blessing in my life. When people ask me why I do all of this for Israel, I tell them that I simply could not do it. People often say to me that I'm a better Jew than most of the Jews they know. All I know is that Israel, good, pure, holy Israel, is deep in my heart. So everything I do for Israel is a true labor of love for me. I feel that I'm not just doing it for the Jewish people, but that I'm doing it for God. And who would want to let him down? Not me. And so tonight, we celebrate the brave, selfless IDF soldiers who are here with us tonight, and all those who serve. Several years ago, I attended a breakfast and a panel discussion here in New York City, sponsored by the news magazine US News and World Report. The topic of discussion was a deceptively simple question. What is a hero? Many well-known names were put forth by way of example. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, among many others. But while the panelists and the audience that morning were quick to name those whom they considered to be heroes, when it came time to identify objective criteria by which we could qualify someone as a hero, the room fell silent. The answer to the question, what makes a hero, suddenly seemed elusive. As I look out tonight at the IDF soldiers in our presence, the answer isn't elusive at all. The answer to that question, what is a hero, is etched in their faces. The answer to the question, what is a hero, is carved in every Star of David, marking every grave of every IDF soldier who has made the ultimate sacrifice for the Jewish state. It can be seen in every Israeli flag flying in Israel and around the world. For without the service of decades of brave Israeli men and women, there would be no Israel and no Israeli flag flying proudly anywhere. These are the places where the true meaning of heroism can be found. What is a hero? The question calls to mind the words of Pericles, who was the military commander of the Athenian army during the Peloponnesian Wars of ancient Greece. Millennia ago, he gave his troops a pep talk by saying, quote, "The palm of courage will surely be adjudged most justly to those who best know the difference between hardship and pleasure, and yet are never tempted to shrink from danger." Pericles also went on to say, and I quote, "If your country has the greatest name in all the world, it is because she never bent before disaster." That might apply to both the United States until at least recently, but certainly it applies to the state of Israel. Those sentiments, though thousands of years old, are true today of you, our beloved IDF soldiers, and of Israel. And we could only come to the place where Israel has never bent before disaster because of the steady, quiet heroism of those who have served and who serve today. I've been to Israel several times, and on one trip about 10 years ago, I was escorted by the IDF to Rafa, then as now a very dangerous border crossing. Some quite adorable IDF soldiers took me under their wing, and they took me to the crossing, and then they brought me up to the top of one of the observation towers at Rafa, when all of a sudden, I heard loud voices barking commands in all directions. The relative calm and good-natured tour of Rafa turned immediately into a chaotic combat zone. 2 Palestinian youths armed with grenades had been spotted closing in on our location. Loud and repeated warnings were issued to the Palestinians. They disregarded those warnings and continued to advance on our position. The next thing I knew, a very handsome and imposing IDF soldier grabbed me from behind and literally threw me on the floor, covering me as they opened warning fire on the advancing terrorists. I was literally squashed under an IDF soldier. Did I mention he was very handsome? He held me down, he protected me, and he laid down protective fire all at once. That, my friends, is the IDF. I must say, I know I've mentioned this several times that he was handsome. So I think I can admit this in this room because I feel all the love here in this room. I think I may have also tried to flirt with him during this incident. I don't know, my memory is a little blurry on this, it all happened so fast, but if pressed, I will admit to flirting my way through an attempted terrorist attack. And if I recall, I think he gave me a little smile while he was firing away, so I think he flirted his way through the terrorist attack, just saying. But that is a perfect example of the professionalism and efficiency of the Israeli Defense Forces. They may be lethal when need be, but they are also great champions of human rights, liberty, and life. They are also, as we see, being blessed with all of these IDF soldiers here with us tonight, they're also adorable and wonderful. As I thought about what I wanted to say to you tonight, to the soldiers directly, I knew that I wanted to express my gratitude, but I also thought that a simple thank you would be grossly insufficient. So I will offer you instead a compound thank you. Thank you for answering the call to service when your country needed you. Thank you for your many selfless sacrifices to fight for freedom, for justice, for what is right. Thank you for risking your lives so that freedom will triumph over tyranny and terror. Thank you for helping to build Israel into a country that is not just great, but good. Thank you for your quiet humility. It's been said that true humility comes from the recognition that everyone has a story as deep and profound as your own. You have honored all of us as you have honored each other. Thank you for loving your country, and thank you for embracing this one. I'd like to leave you with a verse from the American poet Fitz Greene Halleck. But to the hero, when his sword has won the battle for the free, thy voice sounds like a prophet's word, and in its hollow tones are heard the thanks of millions yet to be. God bless you. Thank you.